Welcome to another episode of Impressing Me with your host, Khoshikgadi Matlala Mutau and Kirikia Locha. I hope that you're well. For those that don't know me, I'm the mother of hunger. Because that's what my name basically means, Matlala. And I am here to quench that hunger, that thirst, through some mindful, soulful, honest reflections of me, and the things that really spark me. And what I want to talk about today is the fear of transformation, or rather should I say that the idea of change, and how that can unsettle us, Why am I saying us? Me, okay? And yes, I do speak in plural at times, just to represent what I'm trying to say, okay? Yes, and I've heard about this So if you don't know, I come here unprepared to just, you see I'm doing it again, to just offer just myself, and be myself in front of this camera, because there was a time in my life where I thought I had to perfect my speech, think around what I want to do, what I want to say, in order for me to just come on here and do exactly what I'm doing, which is I like speaking. And sometimes I have thoughts about things around me, ideas that spark me, and there is just a way in which my mind, my body, my vibration relates with those things. And today my reflection is around that idea of change, transformation, and how fearful that can be. As you can see, I'm talking about something very close, but I recently rebranded my look, should I say, self, and not much about rebranding, or should I say that I rebranded. I literally just felt like there's been so much heaviness that I've been experiencing in the past months. There's just been a lot going on. I have been navigating the idea of pioneering. Okay, that is not coming out properly. It's not working. So we are gonna look for another word, and you ain't gonna judge me for that. I have been challenging myself into being a change maker in my community. In that I have been using the skills that I have to go into community work in spaces where I mentor girls that are younger than me, because when I grew up I felt like I needed mentorship, and there wasn't a lot of that in my community around me. And I then looked within myself to ask myself that if you are in a community or space or place and you don't see the things that you feel like reflect you, then do you feel like that is somebody's duty or your duty, right, to make it happen? So that's one of the things, and it comes with a lot. I did say in my other video the other day that it's a story for another day. So one day I'll get into proper details of exactly what do I do in that space and exactly what do I mean by that. But what I was trying to say is that there has been things in my life, like one of that, and also just changing of seasons. I'm one of those young adults that don't have a 9-to-5, a day-to-day job, which means I don't really have a salary at the end of the month. And so that on its own can be its own conversation within me and my mental space and my emotional space and the things that I'll be doing on a day-to-day, right? So with that said, I decided that amongst other things that I have been experiencing, it be family relations and friendships and relations that I'm just involved in, work and other things. Work, when I say work, just because I said no 9 to 5, nah, it don't mean that I don't be working on myself, okay, and the things that I like doing. So I'm a model, I'm an actress, and I'm doing this. So now I'm a YouTuber, and I'm also fostering the kids that I was talking about. Alright, fostering is a weird word, maybe not to use that word. Mentoring. And with all of these things, there's work that I put in them, right? Yeah. And because it's not paid work, you know, other people may think, so are you working? And other people get it, you know. So I've chosen to work from what is within me, looking at the fact that we don't always give ourselves a chance to explore ourselves, explore our talents, explore what is within our hearts and our minds, and then know exactly like what is our purpose and what we would like to do. And I believe when you're still young and you're in your youth, right, you should give yourself that opportunity to explore the different avenues in which you could find self and utilize yourself to the best of your ability, so that one day, should you have to ascend from this realm, from this world, you then have played the role that has fulfilled your heart and your mind and your space, right? You've lived a life of purpose, basically. Yes. So with everything that I've spoken about, exemplified to the change in which I chose for myself. So every time everything gets really heavy, right, I try to reach within myself to go into the simplest of me, so that I have no intentions of impressing anybody, no intentions of being looked at as anything outside of how I look in my natural state. Yes, I got a bit of touch up. Okay. I'm not talking about that. But those that see me on a day-to-day know that they're meeting the real me, right? It's not different from what you're looking at, by the way. But yes. Okay. So I like just like simplifying things, because when things like are a bit too much, we could row with everything, you know. And so whatever that I'm trying to say is that whatever that I was doing on the output, I am doing on the inside. So I'm trying to reflect to myself exactly what I am trying to do with what is within me. So that then deriving something from like looking a certain way to looking a certain way, and that is change, right? It can be very fearful, right? Like right now, I just got ready to go out, and you know, every time I wear myself in the way that I'm wearing myself right now, in my natural way, you know. And no weave, no hairstyle per se, no whatnot, you know. And how that changes the dynamic in which I have conversations with people, or people have conversations with me, with either their eyes, their outlook, or how they approach me as a person is very different from me having any other different look or being in a different, you know, idea. I believe that like how we look like, we put ideas in other people of how our lives look like, or the things that we have going on in our lives, or how, you know, we are navigating the spaces that we are in. It's very interesting for me facing that reality, of change, that fear of like, okay, I'm not gonna be looked the same, I'm not gonna be the same. And I was like this yesterday, and today I'm like this. And I'm one person that I'm never constant in anything, and that's what I want to talk about. I'm never constant in anything, and change is very difficult for me, as much as I approach it and I go towards it, because there is no fun in just staying the same. That means you're not growing, you're not exploring, and you're not alive, and I'm more afraid of being dead alive. I'm more afraid of not being present in my presence. I'm more afraid of not being in my beingness and being stagnant, in that beingness, So I'm afraid of not being in my beingness, like in a way that shows life, in the way that shows growth, in the way that, I'm even open to learning something that I didn't know, which can be very freaky for me. It can be very like hard or painful to learn that I don't know something or to think that I thought I know something and it's really not like that. It can be very difficult for me to adapt to that, although in that difficulty I take the time to challenge it, to like be inquisitive of why is it so uncomfortable to go towards that uncomfortability. Why is it so painful for me to look into saying that I don't know that thing and somebody may know it, and having the acceptance to say, let me be a learner, let me be taught, let life do what life needs to do with me, and let me give it the time to do that without me knowing, and I think I want to speak about the space of not knowing that creates that fear of change, because we are so afraid of not knowing, of not understanding, of not being in control, and letting like go of like not being in control, letting go of not being in the space of knowing. It's so difficult. It is so difficult, and I have been facing it with myself, and it can make it so difficult for me to breathe sometimes, being in just the space of, I know what tomorrow holds, I don't know where my next meal is coming from, I don't know whatever that I'm investing in, will the opportunity really follow, I don't know, being here on YouTube, will people resonate with me or not, will the page grow, will it not grow? But in that, it's like, I know for sure if I don't do anything about it, if I don't sit here and say my reflection, nobody is ever gonna know, I don't know really the other side, but what I know is where I'm at is that if I don't do anything with it, nothing changes. That's a definite. That's one thing I can guarantee. Although if I lean forward to my fears, lean forward to the change that may come from me just allowing myself to be in the space where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this, like just the idea of getting ready and going outside. You don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know who you're gonna meet, good or bad, and because moving from one point to another is a change on its own, but we don't think about those little changes that we make every day, in the decisions that we make that we're not conscious about, or the conscious decisions that we make that create change in our spaces. We are always so focused in the things that can magnify like a big change, so much that we ignore the little steps that we take. We ignore how much we are doing with ourselves, how much we are putting, in our day-to-day struggles, in our day-to-day life, in our day-to-day idea of growing. And it's been like a journey with myself, and I'm realizing it right now with you, that it's a journey for me as a person, who is just walking this journey of impressing themselves and being intentional in that, because we always, most of the time, need validation from other people, need validation that it is okay to be you, to be chosen as you're chosen for whatever that you're chosen for, to have the outlook that you have, to have the opinions that you have, to have the ideals that you have, to have the energy that you drive, and be different, either from your family, your friends, your community, anything. And that difference and the change that it makes in your life, in other people's lives, and in how life like challenges you or blesses you or like narrates itself to you, is one thing for me that is scary, right? And it can be very difficult to accept. It can be very difficult to be in oneness with it. It can be very difficult to understand it. It can be very difficult to be within yourself, to say, even though other people don't see it like that, or they're not really with it like that, I am, you know, and I should love myself enough to validate that, you know, to validate my voice, to validate how I see things, how I think about things, and know that that validation, that self-validation is enough, you know, because at the end of the day, nobody is you, nobody is me, nobody can think the way that I think, can see the way that I see things. The universe won't reveal things the same way because we don't like look at life the same way here, life in the same angle, you know, vibration, I mean to say, and that creates a lot of what our life looks like, you know. It creates a lot of what our fears are. It creates a lot of what change is to us. What may be changed to me may not be changed to you. What may be deep for me may not be deep for you. And that on its own can be very fearful. To be alone in something, to be not seen in something, to not be heard in something, you know, it can be very difficult. And I'm thinking about it from the thing that for me, like, it changes a lot of things for me. Like, I could speak to you, right, and you don't see it the way that I see it, and it can set me off in a certain way. It can influence the way that I think and feel about it. It can, either good in a bad way, either way, although it can change the environment in which I'm experiencing whatever expression that I've given to you. And I think that's what I'm trying to get at, or that's what I'm getting at as I'm speaking, you know, is that it can be so difficult, that change within myself that I experience from navigating life, navigating experiences, navigating opinions, navigating like being exposed to things, being exposed to moments, to people. And that on its own can be so much, you know, can be too much for me. And when everything feels like that, I think are the simplest ways in which I could go back to the moment in life where I knew nothing, I was nothing, but just a baby, you know, to somebody, and I just come to change their life, you know. And before all the things that were projected to me, taught to me, given to me, said to me, labeled to me, and everything else, I was just that. And I could sometimes just think of how best way can I serve that in myself, how best way can I reroute, go back to my root, and that is just be simple. And just offer myself in the most honest way, you know, so that even when somebody else reflects me, I don't have to be an image, I don't have to be an idea, I don't have to be anything but me, you know. Yeah, and I can know if this person is speaking to me or speaking to an idea that of me, you know. Yeah, so I just want to come here. I just want to come on here and share that reflection. I hope that you're well. I hope that you're good. I hope that you are so in tune with impressing yourself. You're so in tune in walking this journey of self. You're so in tune in facing whatever, it be fear, it be facing the fear of change, facing anything really, because I'm in that season. Okay, so I'm talking about that. Allow me. And I hope my presence has made you better in some way. And by that I mean from whatever angle. If you needed to smile, if you needed like somebody that can see you or not see you, I don't know, you know, we don't always see eye to eye, and that is okay because we're not the same people. Although I hope my smile, yes, this is for you, has like centered something in you, you know, in this journey of impressing myself, in this journey of reflecting myself, in this journey of loving myself in such a way that I lean forward to my fears. I hope that it encourages you in any way or form. And remember to always want to impress yourself. As long as you're not harming anybody, as long as you're not being rude about it or mean about it. Also remember that, be thoughtful of others, you know. Don't become something that you don't like in others. Do exactly what you need to do for yourself in the way that also allows you to allow other people to do that for themselves. Yeah. And that is it for me, and may you have a wonderful, wonderful day, evening. Alice, I know what time you'll be watching this. Okay. Yeah, and bye. I'm sorry it took long to post.